One of the things that's really fascinating about any communications technology is this whole notion of what economists call network externalities. So if I own the world's first fax machine, I could spend $1 million on it and it would be worthless to me because I can't do anything with it. Whereas now, fast forward all the years after the invention, every time somebody in the world buys a fax machine, mine gets incrementally more valuable. That's pretty wonderful stuff. And technologies of communications are great examples of how that works. Twitter, Facebook, blogs, certainly Flickr. The fact that, again, the more people who use those, the better off I get. So if I had the world's first Facebook page, it doesn't do me much good. Now, it does not scale infinitely. And so at some point, I think eBay right now might be an example of a company that's sort of maybe over the top saying, yes, we've got a whole lot of network externalities, and now we've got sort of bad money coming in after good, and so you get scams, and you get unreliability, and you get false representation, and you have people changing their usernames, and all kinds of other behavior that means people are distrusting it. Craigslist may have passed that in certain markets too, that great, powerful network effects for a long time, and now it got so crowded that you get a lot of the unsavory stuff happening. So now people are going to subsets, private communities, new vertical social networks, vertical search, vertically defined communities. We're seeing a lot of merging together. Products and services now can't be standing alone as if they're separate, one or the other. Taking things that used to be outside the financial pricing system, like end-of-life disposition of electronic goods, like pollution, like global warming, and saying, no, these things are not free. They do have costs. How can we get them into the price of the plane ticket? How can we get them into the price of the electronic device so that the end of life is now paid for responsibly? It will be carried out right because we don't want mercury in the water stream and whatever else. So when we start talking about network externalities, I think the same thing is happening, so that the Facebook terms of service discussion. What is mine? What is ours? What is Facebook Inc.'s? And how do we work through that? I think it's the same discussion that the green movement is with end-of-life disposition. It's doing the same thing that the financial markets are doing with disclosure of corporate assets, with executive pay, internal relationships among board members. So transparency is the same force, I think, whether you're dealing with network externalities or just standard economic externalities. I can manage my way through my multiple roles in my virtual world better than I can now, because the power of mobile devices means my physical world and my virtual world are now linked. I don't have to sit down at the keyboard and be virtual and then walk into the store and be physical. I'm both all the time. But then within that, I have multiple shades of my virtual personas and my physical reality, that when I'm buying the liquor at the liquor store, when I'm buying the wine at the liquor store, I'm a customer, I want to be anonymous, I just want to pay cash and walk out of there. Whereas when I walk into the car dealership, I want them to remember me, treat me specially, whatever. And again, those domains don't need to cross, shouldn't cross, typically won't have any reason to cross. When you think about the notion of virtual identity, I think that it's got to be federated. I don't think that we'll have one big server in the sky that knows I like, 98 Petrus, Chateau Petrus, and I drive a, Jeep Cherokee, and my favorite baseball team is the Los Angeles Dodgers, and on and on and on. I mean, nobody's going to know everything. And oh, by the way, we just had a session a little while ago on kidney matching. I mean, what about all the medical stuff? And so at some point, some people need to know some stuff. I want other people to know other stuff. I don't want any one person to know everything. So how do I manage the facets, the layers, the depth, the interconnection? Do I want my insurance company seeing my health club records in terms of how many times I worked out or didn't work out? Do I want the health insurance company to see my grocery bill, my item by item? Probably not. If you think about being on a mobile device, you're at the grocery store. You need to buy a bottle of wine for dinner. You can't really solve this problem immediately on your own. you have a network of people you really trust, and maybe you send a tweet to say, hey, at the grocery, need to spend $10 on a bottle of red to go with, pasta and meatballs tonight. Any recommendations? Pinging my network in real time for a point solution, and maybe I even have a subset of my network identified as the people who care about wine, the people who don't. Somebody's going to know that question and can help you on the spot in the moment.
Right.
And so I think institutionalizing that beyond the current state of the tools has huge opportunity.